it's past those trees and to the right. Let's see how these compare. So when it comes to main fairway drivers in my bag, I just carry one mold. So I just have 3 T-birds in my bag, different stages and stabilities, but I know that a lot of people can't do that. So I picked up a couple of new discs and see how it compares if I had to throw these rather than having to cycle my T-birds. Today I got a T-bird or TL3 for my straight one, and then I've got a Star Leopard for my understable one, and see how it compares to my cycled lineup. Also, it's a lot colder than I thought it was gonna be today, so coffee's gonna be my friend. All right, real talk. I've actually never played this position. In hindsight, I think I will actually go just to park that basket, then just have the clear upshot from there, because you've got a pretty good pump to get it down this hill and past these trees. And I'd rather just be up there and have a clear shot at it than getting stuck in those trees again. Yeah, I was very lucky to be able to get my upshot in putting range here. Very lucky, very fortunate. It's crazy how elevation just doesn't translate on video. This is probably like 30 feet higher than where I'm standing right now, at least. Like the basket's like 200 feet away, and I have to throw a fairway driver just to even get to circle. It's not even 200 feet away, and then I have the pump of fairway driver up there. So first off, why do I cycle discs? And why do a lot of other people cycle discs? So I cycle discs, one of the biggest reasons is just having a consistent feel in your hand. So having that consistent feel, having the same discs in your hand every time you get on the tee pad, it's not a question of do I throw my T-bird or my Leopard or my Roadrunner, whatever it is. It's a question of which T-bird do I throw. And because of that, they feel all the same in your hand. They have that same confidence in your hand on the tee, and they just release the same, they feel the same, and it's just have different flights. And so because of that, I just have more confidence throwing all of my fairway drivers in my hands, because I know I love T-birds. I love each one of them. I know how they fly, and they all feel and release the same out of my hand off the tee. All right, so I just threw my Understable T-bird and my Leopard. I threw my Understable T-bird little nose up, so it wasn't great, but it did turn just as much, if not a little bit. Oh, my camera almost fell over. If not a little bit more than the Leopard, which is interesting because like that Understable T-bird is my go-to T-bird. Like it's amazing. I can hyzer flip it to go dead straight and finish straight and flat, or if I rip on it, I can turn it over. And again, it kind of turns, doesn't really burn into the ground, but those were pretty similar. The Leopard is just a touch more stable, but it's saying something that my go-to T-bird is less stable, more understable than a Leopard is. And a lot of people would think of a Leopard being, oh, that's understable. Good players don't play with, I'm not saying I'm a great player, but I'm 930 rated and my go-to fairway is more understable than a Leopard. So that should tell you something about the stability of discs. Just because a bunch of people are throwing these more overstable things doesn't mean that one, you should be throwing them, and two, that they're fresh. Like I can say that my go-to is I have a T-bird, that's my go-to T-bird. It's not a fresh T-bird, it's more understable than a Leopard. So the second reason that I would say I cycle discs and I enjoy cycling discs would be just the stability of a beat up, stable disc. With newer discs, so like this Leopard for instance, or even a Roadrunner, the ones that are made to be understable to turn over, they turn over and they either do one of two things. They always just turn and burn for me, so they're too understable, or they turn over but they come out and fade since they're kind of fresh and new. They have that more of a fade at the end of them. But whenever I beat up a stable disc like a T-Bird, it doesn't do either of those things. So it just keeps turning and it just pans and flies and glides until the ground. It doesn't really turn and burn. It doesn't come and fade out at the end. It's great. And I just don't find that in other newer discs. For example, there's just nothing like that I found. There's just nothing like a beat up Rock 3. Those things just turn beautifully and they just pan and keep gliding to the right on a turnover. They don't turn and burn, they don't fade out, they just keep going and going, they don't come out of it. It's just beautiful. And I just haven't been able to find a newer disc like that. So the only way to get that is, in my opinion, is just to beat up a Rock 3 and it just flies beautifully. For example, like with this Leopard, it turns beautifully just like my beat up T-Bird, but this one comes out more, it's a little more stable at the end. It's harder to keep it gliding on that straight line or turning over to the right. But when this one, it just doesn't come out, it just keeps turning. So granted, I'm no scientist, I don't know the physics of discs and flights. This is just my experience and what I think and what I've experienced. So let me know in the comments if I'm wrong or if there's another video. I think Dave Feldberg talked about it a little bit on his stuff. That guy just, he knows the stuff he knows about disc golf is insane, but yeah. All right, so this one will be pretty telling. This one's just straight and right towards those, in the middle of those trees. It's past those trees and to the right, so you really need something to turn over and just hold to the right. Let's see how these compare. That was gonna turn beautifully, but it nicked that last tree, but it was turning, it was going that direction, so. It definitely turned over a lot more than that Leopard did, but this wind picked up like right when I threw. And I had no wind on the Leopard 3, or the Leopard. I might have had a little bit of wind, but the wind just decided to pick up right when I threw that one, so. I don't know if you saw that, but my T-Bird, that's my go-to T-Bird, but that T-Bird just like hyzer flipped, just dead straight line. I don't know if you saw that. Flipped up and just flew dead straight down that pipe. Granted, I missed my line a little bit on the Leopard, but I pretty much threw that the same way and it just kind of popped up a little bit, but pretty much just held the hyzer the whole way. Did not pop up flat to go dead straight on that line. It's yeah, again, my understable T-Bird is much more understable than that Leopard. Also, I might have thrown both of those on the ice. If I was playing this hole for real, I would not have thrown a fairway. Oh, I made it across with my T-Bird, but I would not have thrown a fairway. I probably would have thrown a mid to here, to this pole, and land around here. I don't want to mess with the creek. I would have laid up here and then gone for it on my second shot. Maybe not been able to get a par. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a 3 here because I'm on the side of a hill. So I can't even get a run up. But I think my Leopard, no! Yes! Ugh. Sliced it enough where it didn't go into the stream. But I don't want to get wet. It's cold today. Look, there's still ice. I don't want to get in there. That's terrible. Why would I want to do that? Yeah, I don't think, that's a pretty steep hill. I don't know if you can see that. I wouldn't have had a run up anyways, even if I got across. I got across safely, still don't have a run up. Definitely would have mid-range to that short pole here. That way I can have a decent run up for the second shot, because this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it, Chief. So what are my final thoughts on cycling versus new? Now, oh, it's really cold. So for me, I'm still on the cycling train, mainly because of these two here. Like I said, whenever you beat up a stable disc, it likes to turn and just keep gliding. It doesn't really turn and burn, it doesn't fade out. And I love that about this, especially on that like dead straight tunnel shot. It would hyzer flip and it would just go dead straight and it would finish straight. Unlike the Leopard, which would fade out, or this one didn't even turn quite as much to even go straight on down that tunnel. But this one's just so reliable to just hyzer flip and just dead straight down a tunnel, finish straight. And once you find a disc like that, and you can do that consistently, your game's gonna immensely get better. Now, the one thing that did surprise me was this TL3. It's just straighter than my T-Bird 3. It doesn't fade as hard, but it has that stability to it. So it's a little bit more overstable than my hyzer flipping T-Bird. And so I might actually switch it out for this one, because once this does break in a little bit to turn just a touch and hyzer flip for me, I think this would be just money. Give me that similar flight to this one, but it'll fade out at the end rather than this one just finishing straight. In the wind, this is probably what exactly I was looking for in terms of it'll fight the wind, but it'll just go dead straight in the wind, not really hook up at the end. This one kind of hooks up at the end of its flight whenever you throw it into the wind. It's nice and overstable, and I love that about this one. This is a great one, but this one I think might actually make the bag. And because it's a TL, what they went with the TL3s versus the T-Birds is it's just a more understable T-Bird, slightly understable. And because of that, it has the same feel in the hand as a T-Bird. So if you're wanting to cycle T-Birds, or if you're wanting a slightly less overstable T-Bird, these TL3s or TLs, great discs. Very underrated, just because a lot of the pros, they throw the T-Birds, they don't really lean towards the TLs quite as much, but for AMs, TLs are where it's at. So let me know if you cycle discs and what you do cycle. I'd like to know in the comments whether you cycle buzzes, EMAC Truths, rocks, whatever it is. Yeah, let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Oh, I gotta get out of this cold. Especially once the sun goes down. No. And I'm out of coffee. It's not good.